Earth's magnetic North Pole sprint. Picture the top of the world, not ice and silence, but motion. Earth's magnetic North Pole isn't drifting anymore. It's sprinting. For most of recorded history, the pole crept along slowly, almost politely. But since the early 2000s, something changed. The invisible point that guides compasses worldwide began racing towards Siberia at astonishing speed, around 40 meters every single year. Nearly 4 times faster than anything humans have ever documented. Scientists didn't see this coming. Not even close. Navigation systems across the planet were built on the assumption that Earth's magnetic field changes gradually. Instead, those assumptions shattered. The World Magnetic Model, used by GPS satellites, aircraft autopilots, and military systems, has been forced into emergency updates again and again. A system meant to last 5 years now struggles to stay accurate for even 18 months. At the British Geological Survey, researchers admit this behavior has no clear precedent. Geological records stretching back hundreds of thousands of years show nothing quite like it. In the 1990s, the pole moved barely 9 meters per year. Today, it's pushing past 40. Some measurements hint it's nearing 50, with no sign of slowing down. And then comes the unsettling part. The South Magnetic Pole is accelerating too, almost perfectly mirrored. 2 poles, pulling away from their historical positions in opposite directions, as if Earth's entire magnetic engine is being rearranged from the inside out. Satellites from the European Space Agency's Swarm mission reveal a planet out of balance. Over the South Atlantic, the magnetic field is weakening, losing about 5% per decade. Over Siberia, it's strengthening just as fast. These distortions create invisible hazards that interfere with technology and confuse life itself. Animals that rely on magnetic navigation are paying the price. Arctic terns, champions of migration, are arriving hundreds of miles off course during their epic global journeys. In coastal regions experiencing rapid magnetic shifts, whale strandings have surged dramatically, suggesting marine mammals are losing their internal compass. Then the satellites detected something stranger still. Deep within Earth's interior, rhythmic magnetic pulses are emerging. Scientists call them magnetic jerks. They repeat every 6 to 8 months with eerie regularity, originating nearly 1,800 miles below the surface, an area once believed to be stable and predictable. Even earthquakes may be responding. Seismic activity appears to be clustering along regions where magnetic changes are strongest, hinting at a hidden link between Earth's electromagnetic forces and its shifting crust. And the stakes go far beyond navigation errors. Earth's magnetic field is our shield against solar radiation and cosmic rays. As it reorganizes, gaps in that shield may be opening. Radiation levels rise. Atmospheric chemistry shifts. Ozone behavior changes in ways climate models can't fully explain. Airlines are already feeling the impact. Pilots flying over northern Canada and Siberia report compass readings drifting as much as 20 degrees from GPS data. Dangerous discrepancies in environments where precision is everything. So the question isn't whether Earth's magnetic field is changing. It's why it's happening so fast, and what it means when the planet's invisible defenses begin to move on their own. Atmospheric rivers over the Sahara Desert. Imagine standing in the middle of the Sahara. Endless dunes. Blazing heat. Air so dry it cracks your lips. Now look up and see a river. Not on the ground. In the sky. Atmospheric rivers are usually born over oceans. Long, narrow bands of water vapor, a few hundred miles wide, moving moisture from sea to land. They are powered by ocean heat, ocean winds, and ocean evaporation. So when satellites detected one forming over the central Sahara in 2023, scientists froze. Dr. Marty Ralph, from UC San Diego's Center for Western Weather and Water Extremes, documented the event himself. A massive corridor of water vapor stretched across the desert, thousands of miles from the nearest ocean. The moisture it carried was staggering, equivalent to nearly 20 times the flow of the Mississippi River. By every rule of atmospheric science, this should be impossible. Deserts lack the moisture, the wind patterns, and the energy sources needed to create or sustain atmospheric rivers. Hot air should rip these systems apart. Water vapor should disperse almost instantly. But it didn't. NOAA's GOES 16 satellite watched the river hold its shape as it crossed dry land. It didn't weaken. It didn't evaporate. In some sections, it actually intensified. Measurements showed moisture levels far beyond what the atmosphere should be able to hold at those temperatures and pressures. In some cases, more than double the theoretical limit. Meteorologists launched weather balloons. They analyzed satellite moisture profiles. And still, no one could explain where the water was coming from. Even stranger, the desert began to rain. Not drizzles, not brief showers, but 4 to 6 inches of rain in less than a day. Amounts normally produced by ocean-fed storm systems covering tens of thousands of square miles. The physics didn't add up. Inside these sky rivers, temperatures contradicted the Clausius-Clapeyron relationship, which predicts when vapor should condense. The water stayed gaseous when it should have collapsed into rain, then suddenly dumped everything at once, as if triggered by an unseen switch. Radar scans revealed something else. Electrical activity unlike any known storm. Not lightning as we understand it. The electromagnetic patterns looked structured, organized. Some researchers quietly noted they resembled technological signals more than natural weather. Pressure readings raised even more alarms. The internal pressure gradients violated basic principles of hydrostatic equilibrium. Maintaining them would require energy inputs beyond what sunlight or convection could provide. And then came the solar connection. These atmospheric rivers appeared shortly after spikes in solar flare activity. Within 48 hours. Again and again. Suggesting electromagnetic forces from the sun might be influencing water vapor in ways science doesn't yet understand. The final shock came from the rain itself. Chemical analysis showed isotopic signatures that didn't match ocean water. The ratios of oxygen and hydrogen suggested this moisture had never followed the normal evaporation cycle at all, which raises a deeply unsettling question. If these rivers aren't drawing water from the oceans, then where, exactly, is the sky getting its rain? The Gulf Stream current anomalies. Picture the Atlantic Ocean as a massive conveyor belt. For centuries, one current has dominated it, the Gulf Stream. A river of warm water, stronger than 150 Amazon rivers combined, flowing reliably from the tropics toward the North Atlantic. Until it didn't. In 2019, instruments began detecting something oceanographers weren't prepared for. Sections of the Gulf Stream weren't just slowing down. They were turning around. Not drifting. Not wobbling. Reversing. Dr. Stefan Rahmstorf at the Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact Research documented entire segments flowing in the opposite direction for months at a time. 3 months. Sometimes 6. Flow measurements showed turns exceeding 180 degrees, something that simply shouldn't happen in a system driven by stable temperature gradients, pressure differences, and Earth's rotation. And yet, the data was undeniable. Even stranger, the water didn't behave like it should. Warm tropical water, normally carried north, kept its heat even while instruments showed it moving south. Temperatures stayed locked between 20 and 25 degrees Celsius, defying basic rules of energy conservation and fluid dynamics. As the current fractured, enormous ocean eddies formed, some stretching 200 to 400 kilometers across, larger than entire states. They spun the wrong way for the northern hemisphere, rotating against Coriolis forces that should make that impossible. These swirling systems didn't collapse. They persisted for months, exchanging water with the main current in patterns no existing model can reproduce. The ocean's living systems noticed first. Tropical fish began appearing far north of Cape Cod, places where the water chemistry and temperatures should kill them within days. But they survived, thrived, as if invisible pathways were moving life through the ocean, bypassing known barriers. Satellites added another layer of mystery. Data from the Jason, 3, and Sentinel, 6 missions showed sea surface heights rising and falling independently of current flow. No winds, no tides, no pressure systems to explain it. The ocean's surface itself seemed to ignore gravity and expectation. Then came the deep data. Argo floats, autonomous sensors drifting through the abyss, revealed the reversals didn't stop near the surface. They extended down nearly 3,000 meters. Depths long assumed to be stable and isolated were changing in perfect sync with surface chaos. Acoustic Doppler instruments measured flow speeds that exceeded what pressure gradients could possibly generate. The energy wasn't coming from wind. It wasn't coming from heat. It wasn't coming from gravity. And the timing raised even more questions. The reversals often followed electromagnetic disturbances detected by space-based satellites monitoring Earth's magnetosphere. Solar storms appeared to trigger ocean changes within hours, suggesting forces from space may be reaching into the sea itself. Perhaps the most unsettling clue came from biology. Plankton communities began shifting before instruments detected any current change. As if marine life sensed something deeper, something our technology can't yet measure. If the oceans are responding to forces we don't fully understand, what else might be changing beneath the surface, long before we notice? Arctic permafrost thermal paradox. Picture the Arctic ground as a frozen archive. Layer upon layer of ice and soil, locked in place for thousands of years. Now imagine that same ground doing something impossible. In some regions, permafrost is melting fast. Just meters away, it's growing thicker, expanding, cooling, both at the same time. Scientists expected thawing as temperatures rise. What they didn't expect was contradiction. Dr. Vladimir Romanovsky at the University of Alaska Fairbanks drilled deep into the frozen ground and placed temperature sensors at multiple depths. What he found stunned researchers. Near the surface, permafrost was warming by 2 to 3 degrees per year. But deeper down, in the very same borehole, temperatures were dropping at nearly identical rates. Heat moving down and cold moving up. A thermal inversion that defies basic laws of heat transfer. Ground-penetrating radar made the mystery worse. The boundary between frozen and thawed soil wasn't stable. It was moving. Up, down, sideways. Sometimes shifting 10, 20, even 50 meters in a single day. These movements had no connection to sunlight, air temperature, or soil composition. It was as if different underground zones were being heated and cooled independently, precisely, selectively, deliberately. Then came the gas anomalies. Some permafrost regions began releasing methane at more than 100 times normal levels. Nearby areas did the opposite, absorbing gases like carbon dioxide and nitrous oxide straight out of the atmosphere. Two behaviors. Same landscape, less than 100 meters apart. No correlation with temperature. No link to microbial activity. No explanation. When scientists examined permafrost cores, they found another paradox. Organic matter was decomposing rapidly in some sections, while becoming chemically stable in others, inside the same sample. Radiocarbon dating only deepened the confusion. In multiple cores, surface material appeared 5 to 10,000 years older than layers beneath it. A direct violation of geological layering, and the decay laws that make carbon dating possible at all. Satellites added yet another contradiction. Thermal imaging from Landsat and MODIS showed surface temperatures that simply didn't match ground sensors. In some areas, satellite readings differed by more than 20 degrees, as if the ground were hiding its true temperature from infrared detection. Meanwhile, changes were accelerating. Some regions experienced temperature swings of 10 to 15 degrees in just days, far beyond what soil physics allows based on known heat capacity and conductivity. Sensitive seismic instruments picked up faint tremors, micro-earthquakes rippling through frozen ground, not from tectonic stress, but from rapid structural changes happening underground. Even the electrical properties of permafrost began behaving strangely. Electromagnetic surveys revealed conductivity patterns that didn't track moisture or temperature. The signals suggested phase changes unlike normal ice-to-water transitions, as if frozen soil itself were reorganizing at a molecular level. So the question becomes unavoidable. If permafrost isn't simply melting, if it's transforming in ways physics can't yet explain, what exactly is happening beneath the Arctic, out of sight, and ahead of our understanding. Earth's ionosphere electrical anomalies. Far above the clouds, beyond weather and jet streams, lies a realm most people never think about. The ionosphere, a thin, electrically charged layer of atmosphere stretching thousands of miles above Earth. And lately, it's behaving like something is very wrong. Under normal conditions, the ionosphere is powered by the sun. Solar radiation strips electrons from atoms, creating a delicate electrical balance that makes radio communication and GPS possible. But researchers are now detecting electrical surges that solar energy simply cannot explain. Dr. Jeffrey Forbes at the University of Colorado documented ionospheric charge levels hundreds to thousands of % higher than what sunlight should produce during periods of ordinary solar activity. No solar storms, no flares, nothing from space that could account for the excess energy. Yet the ionosphere was generating it anyway. Radio wave experiments using very low-frequency transmitters revealed that electrical density patterns were shifting in ways that violate long-established atmospheric models. Satellites began reporting signal distortions, sudden phase shifts, and erratic amplitude changes that didn't match any known space weather indicators. Then radar systems looked closer. High-frequency arrays detected plasma moving in organized formations, not chaotic, not turbulent, structured, triangular shapes, hexagons, even rectangular patterns, persisting for hours in an environment where fluid dynamics says they should dissolve within minutes. Temperature measurements deepen the mystery. Using incoherent scatter radar, scientists found sections of the ionosphere heating up to 2,000, even 3,000 Kelvin, during times when solar input was at a minimum. No seasonal explanation. No chemical reaction known to generate that heat. As if the ionosphere had its own internal power source. The consequences reached the ground. Earth's global electrical circuit, normally holding about 250,000 volts between the ionosphere and the surface, began to shift. In some regions, that potential doubled. Lightning patterns changed worldwide, suggesting feedback loops between atmospheric layers that climate models never accounted for. Military satellites detected something even more unsettling. Electromagnetic pulses were emerging from the ionosphere itself, traveling downward. These signals carried specific frequencies and modulation patterns that looked eerily similar to artificial radio transmissions. But there were no transmitters up there. GPS systems felt the impact next. Position errors ballooned from expected 1 or 2-meter deviations to more than 10 meters in affected regions. The interference wasn't random. It followed repeating, coordinated patterns. Then a new connection appeared. Ionospheric disturbances were occurring just hours after major earthquakes, 2 to 6 hours later, almost like a response, suggesting an electromagnetic link between Earth's crust and its upper atmosphere, something geophysics doesn't yet know how to describe. Finally, plasma density measurements revealed the most alarming fact of all. Electron concentrations were exceeding what even peak solar conditions could produce. The energy required would be equivalent to multiple solar flares happening at once. But space weather monitors saw nothing. So if the sun isn't powering these electrical storms, what is awakening the sky itself? Earth's gravity anomaly zones. Gravity feels constant, reliable, unchanging, but in certain places on Earth, it isn't. Precision instruments are detecting localized regions where gravity itself fluctuates, day by day, in ways that shouldn't be possible. Not according to Newton, not according to Einstein. Using ultra-sensitive Lacoste and Romberg gravimeters, Dr. Carla Breitenberg of the University of Trieste recorded gravity changes far beyond instrument error. Not tiny variations, but shifts large enough to demand an explanation. In some locations, gravitational acceleration changes by thousands of microgals within just 24 hours. To cause that naturally, billions of tons of mass would have to move underground. Yet seismic sensors detect nothing. No earthquakes, no tectonic motion, no collapse or intrusion. Even more unsettling, these gravity shifts aren't isolated. Stations separated by 5 to 10,000 kilometers record synchronized fluctuations at the same moment. According to gravitational theory, that shouldn't happen. Local gravity should only respond to nearby mass, within a few hundred kilometers at most. And yet, the planet seems to be acting as one system. Satellite data deepens the mystery. The GRACE follow-on mission has observed gravity anomalies that appear, fade, and reappear over days or weeks. No changes in groundwater. No ice movement. No atmospheric pressure shifts to account for them. The mass isn't moving, but gravity is. Then the atmosphere reacts. Regions inside gravity anomaly zones develop strange weather behavior. Pressure systems form where they shouldn't. Winds move against pressure gradients. Temperature inversions appear without warning, as if gravity itself is influencing the air above it. Time, too, begins to slip. Atomic clocks placed inside these zones record time dilation effects 20 to 40% greater than theoretical predictions. The measured gravity doesn't seem strong enough to cause this, unless something unseen is amplifying space-time curvature at a local scale. The oceans feel it next. Coastal tide gauges inside gravity anomaly regions show tidal patterns that don't match lunar or solar positions. The discrepancies imply extra gravitational forces, forces equivalent to massive objects that simply aren't there. Deep underground surveys make the picture even stranger. Borehole gravimeters reveal mass distributions that don't match seismic imaging or core samples. Some dense structures appear to shift position or change composition without any physical process capable of doing so. And when researchers analyze the gravity data mathematically, another pattern emerges. The fluctuations aren't random. They show oscillations, modulation, repeating frequencies, patterns that look less like geology and more like signals. To rule out interference, scientists brought gravity experiments into controlled laboratories. Torsion balance systems detected the same anomalies, isolated from vibration, temperature changes, and electromagnetic noise, which means the effect is real. If gravity itself is fluctuating, if space-time is bending in ways our theories can't fully explain, then what force is quietly rewriting the rules beneath our feet? Earth's clear sky electrical storms. Lightning has rules. It needs towering clouds, rising air, moisture, and violent collisions of ice and water to build charge. Except now it doesn't. Across the world, lightning is striking from perfectly clear skies. No storm clouds. No rain. Sometimes not even humidity. Dr. Earl Williams at MIT's Lincoln Laboratory documented electrical discharges forming under cloudless conditions with relative humidity below 30%, an environment where charge separation should be physically impossible. Yet the bolts were real. These clear air strikes released between 1 and 5 billion joules of energy, comparable to full-scale thunderstorms, but without the mechanisms that normally create them. Electric field mills and magnetic sensors detected something deeply unsettling. Atmospheric electrical activity is rising independently of weather. In some regions, lightning frequency is increasing by up to 25% per year, while rainfall is decreasing. That relationship shouldn't exist. Then radio monitors picked up something stranger. Lightning detection networks recorded electrical signals that didn't behave like natural discharges. They showed repeating frequency signatures between 8 and 30 kilohertz. Regular timing. Structured patterns. Lightning isn't supposed to be organized. Global networks revealed synchronized electrical activity erupting across continents. Events occurring simultaneously in places separated by more than 10,000 kilometers. No shared weather systems. No atmospheric connection. Something electromagnetic appeared to be driving the storms. On the ground, the effects were even harder to explain. Current sensors recorded electrical flows of 10 to 100 amperes moving through the soil, persisting for hours after lightning stopped. According to theory, that energy should dissipate almost immediately. Instead, it lingered, stored, channeled. Upper atmosphere data added another layer. Lightning activity began correlating with ionospheric disturbances, as if storms were responding to changes high above the clouds rather than forming from weather below. The direction of cause and effect seemed reversed. Air chemistry told the same story. Samples collected during these electrical events showed molecular changes that shouldn't be possible. Ozone production and nitrogen fixation occurred at levels 5 to 10 times higher than the measured electrical output could support. The energy didn't add up. Then witnesses reported something even rarer. Ball lightning, but not the fleeting kind. Plasma spheres lasting minutes. Moving with intent. Maintaining shape far longer than plasma physics allows in open air. Measurements now show that Earth's global electrical circuit is operating at voltages 50 to 100% higher than historical baselines. Thunderstorms and solar input can't account for it, which leads to an uncomfortable possibility. If lightning no longer needs storms, if the atmosphere is being energized from an unknown source, then what exactly is charging the sky above us? Earth's rapid magnetic polarity reversals. For as long as humans have studied Earth's magnetic field, one rule seemed unbreakable. When the poles flip, it takes thousands of years. Now that rule is breaking. In certain regions, Earth's magnetic field is switching polarity in days, sometimes hours. Dr. Monika Korte at the GFZ German Research Center for Geosciences documented localized magnetic reversals spanning hundreds of square kilometers. Entire areas where north became south, and then flipped back again within 24 to 48 hours. According to geomagnetic theory, that should be impossible. The planet's magnetic field is generated deep within Earth's core. Its size, conductivity, and inertia are supposed to prevent rapid changes. Yet precision magnetometers recorded compass readings swinging a full 180 degrees between morning and evening at the same location. No solar storms. No geomagnetic disturbances. No volcanic or tectonic activity to blame. Animals noticed first. GPS tracking of migratory birds revealed routes drifting hundreds of kilometers off course. Species that rely on magnetic cues began circling, doubling back, or abandoning long-established paths altogether. In the oceans, sea turtles stranded at alarming rates. Their internal navigation systems appeared scrambled by magnetic instability that shouldn't exist. Magnetic field strength measurements made the mystery worse. Proton precession magnetometers recorded intensity swings of 5,000 to 15,000 nanotesla within hours. Changes of that magnitude would normally require alterations to Earth's core magnetic engine, something that would affect the entire planet. Yet these events were local. Archaeologists stumbled into the anomaly next. Magnetic dating of recently fired materials, objects with known historical ages, produced impossible orientations. The magnetic signatures didn't match any paleomagnetic record or global geomagnetic model. It was as if local magnetic fields were operating independently of Earth's main field. Satellites confirmed it. The European Space Agency's Swarm constellation detected rapid magnetic reversals occurring simultaneously at multiple locations around the world. Not randomly, perfectly timed. Such coordination suggests an external electromagnetic influence, not slow geological processes. Underground surveys added another shock. Magnetotelluric measurements showed unusual electrical currents flowing through the crust during these reversals. The currents didn't follow Faraday's law. They appeared to drive the magnetic changes rather than respond to them. That reverses cause and effect. Geomagnetic observatories then observed disturbances spreading outward into space. Local anomalies were affecting the magnetosphere itself, interfering with satellites and radio communication far beyond their origin zones. If Earth's magnetic field can flip locally, rapidly, and in synchrony, then the question isn't whether the poles will reverse again someday. It's what force has learned how to flip them on command. Atmospheric carbon cycle collapse. Carbon moves through the atmosphere, oceans, and land in predictable ways. Plants absorb it. Oceans store it. Animals and decay release it. The cycle has rules. But now, those rules are breaking. Dr. Peter Tanz at NOAA's Earth System Research Laboratory has documented changes that defy everything we know. CO2 concentrations are swinging wildly. 15 to 40 parts per million in just weeks. 3 to 5 times faster than vegetation and ocean cycles could possibly allow. These fluctuations aren't seasonal. They aren't regional. They're chaotic, unpredictable, and in many cases localized. Tower-based atmospheric analyzers reveal dramatic differences in CO2 levels across small geographic areas. No change in land use. No additional emissions. No variations in plant density. It's as if carbon is moving, or appearing and disappearing, independently of known sources and sinks. Then came the isotopic analysis. Using mass spectrometry, researchers found carbon signatures that didn't match fossil fuels, biomass burning, or respiration. Ratios of carbon, 13 to carbon, 12 were impossible under current geochemical and biological rules. Some CO2 literally has no known origin. The oceans tell the same story. Autonomous monitoring buoys show CO2 concentrations rising in water while atmospheric levels fall in the same region. Henry's law says gas should equilibrate across the air-water boundary. It isn't. Some invisible mechanism is shuffling carbon against every expectation. Underground, soils are behaving just as strangely. Automated chambers detect carbon changes of 20 to 50% in a single month. Faster than microbes can respire. Faster than plant roots can grow or decompose organic matter. Even living vegetation is defying limits. Eddy covariance towers measuring photosynthesis and respiration show plants absorbing or releasing carbon at rates 10 to 100 times higher than their biological capacity. For the observed changes to be natural, every ecosystem on Earth would need to operate at maximum output, constantly. Carbon cycle models fail completely. Calculations now suggest carbon is effectively being created or destroyed by unknown processes, amounts equal to entire continents of vegetation. Variations occur at night, when photosynthesis is impossible. They don't correlate with solar cycles, plant rhythms, or known oceanic processes. The carbon cycle, once the backbone of life's balance, is no longer predictable, and the bigger question looms. If carbon itself can move outside the rules we've understood for centuries, what hidden forces are controlling it? Global seismic pattern reorganization. For over a century, earthquakes followed a map. Fault lines, plate boundaries, predictable zones of stress and release. That map is no longer reliable. Around the world, earthquakes are striking where they shouldn't exist at all. Stable continental interiors, regions untouched for millions of years, are suddenly shaking. Dr. Seth Stein from Northwestern University documented powerful earthquakes, magnitude 6 and above, occurring in places long considered geologically quiet. Central Australia, Eastern Canada, the central United States. According to tectonic theory, the crust in these regions shouldn't hold enough stress to break. And yet it does. At the same time, traditional earthquake hotspots are going silent. Long stretches of seismic calm are appearing where constant activity was expected, violating every statistical forecast built on historical records. Then the timing became impossible to ignore. Earthquakes on different continents, separated by oceans, are occurring in synchronized clusters, within 24 to 48 hours. Too fast for tectonic stress to travel through solid rock. The implication is unsettling. These quakes aren't acting independently. Deep beneath the surface, the mystery deepens further. Global seismic networks are detecting earthquakes more than 600 kilometers down, regions where rock should be too hot and ductile to fracture. Yet the signals are unmistakable. Clear P waves, clear S waves. Evidence of brittle failure where brittle failure shouldn't be possible. Even the energy doesn't make sense. Some earthquakes are releasing more power than calculated stress levels could ever produce, as if seismic energy is being amplified by an unknown mechanism hidden deep within the planet. Prediction models are collapsing. Forecast accuracy has dropped by nearly half as earthquakes migrate to unexpected regions and follow timing patterns unrelated to plate motion or stress accumulation cycles. Seismic waves themselves are behaving strangely. Travel times are changing, sometimes abruptly, suggesting alterations in Earth's internal structure. But geological processes don't work that fast. Rock composition shouldn't evolve between one earthquake and the next. Aftershocks have stopped obeying the rules too. Instead of decaying predictably, they persist in unusual patterns, violating Amory's law and elastic rebound theory. Stress appears to be reintroduced after the main event, not relieved. Seismic tomography confirms it. Earthquake source zones are changing internally between events. The very conditions that generate earthquakes are evolving in real time. And when scientists tally the global energy budget, the final contradiction emerges. Total seismic energy release is increasing beyond what tectonic plate motion can supply. There is excess energy, and no known source, which brings us to the larger picture. From racing magnetic poles, to rivers flowing through desert skies, to gravity, electricity, oceans, carbon, and now earthquakes behaving out of sync with established laws. These are not isolated mysteries. They are accelerating, and they are coordinated. Processes that should unfold over thousands of years are happening in months. Systems once thought separate, magnetic, atmospheric, oceanic, and geological, are responding together. That forces an uncomfortable conclusion. Earth may not be changing gradually. It may be reorganizing. If magnetic fields can flip locally, currents can reverse without warning, and the ground beneath stable continents can fracture without cause, then the stability assumed by modern environmental science may never have existed at all. Perhaps these anomalies aren't errors. Perhaps they're signals. Signals that our planet is governed by deeper rules we've only just begun to glimpse, and that Earth is far more dynamic, connected, and mysterious than we were ever prepared to understand. Curious about the mysteries our planet hides? Subscribe to Strange Wise and uncover the secrets science can't explain before the world catches up.